first impressions on Lisandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, and Tyrell Malacia as our only signings at this moment in time. Do you think we have strengthened enough given the caliber of players we've let leave on free transfers and the rumours of a couple of loan spells going out? Even Alex Telles has been rumoured to leave today on loan to Sevilla, I believe. What are your first thoughts?
In regards to this window so far, I don't think we've strengthened enough. We've strengthened certain areas, which is okay. We now have a left-sided centre-back, which is okay. I feel like for Man United fans, our needs, we've fitted some of our needs, but everything we've done, like we haven't done it priority-wise. I feel like we've needed a DM for the past 5 years. We still haven't got that DM just yet.
Exactly.
We needed a centre-back, we needed a right-back, we needed 2 new full-backs, we need someone across the front line, we need a right winger. There's so many things that we need. We've strengthened so far. I like our signings. I was quite reluctant on Christian Eriksen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said it on my podcast. I was quite reluctant on Christian Eriksen because it just reminded me of a typical Man United signing a player over 30, in which, fair enough, it's squad depth, but what's the point of working on squad depth when you don't even know you're starting 11? So that was my engagement with Christian Eriksen. But I've seen he does improve my midfield, so I'm not going to complain. It's a free transfer. It's not my money. So it is what it is. But I'm happy with Malacia. I think that's a good signing. Competition for sure as well. And if Shaw's injured, we've got a competent left back. I like what I've seen so far in pre-season with Malacia. And Lisandro Martinez, we'll see how he links up with Harry Maguire. I'm guessing that's going to be our new centre-back partnership, at least with the football that Ten Hag wants to play. And it's a player he knows very well. We know what we're going to get out of Lisandro Martinez. Like, I watched him, a couple of highlights of him against Rayo Vallecano. He was very composed on the ball. So just a good start. But going into the season, we still need a DM desperately. We still need a striker, regardless of what happens with Ronaldo. I still think like we need a right winger. I still like we need a right back as well and a backup keeper. So we've still got 3-4 signings we need to do, and the window finishes at the end of the month. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't expect a deadline day of 2014 where we're getting like Di Maria, Falcao, Daley Blind all in at the same time. But you expect a bit more urgency from the board and from literally the people looking at these signings, because Man United, as we all know, are rumoured every single day with a brand new player throughout the whole summer, and it's crazy to see how it is. Me personally, I'm really excited about the signings that we have. I'm really excited about Christian Eriksen, given what we've seen from him over the past 6-7 years at the top level that he has played, which is great to see, and the fact that he has come back into professional football after his horrific incident in the European Championships. But like you said as well, a lot of people are forgetting that Diogo Dalot wouldn't get into the rest of the top 6 as a right back because ideally he's not good enough for Man United as a first choice right back. So even the likes of who was the one that went to PSG? Mukelele? I thought he was a really good shout to actually get. Yeah, he would have been a really good player. Denzel Dumfries is being linked with Manchester United, which I really believe he would have been a really good signing to improve what we have at right back. Aaron Wan-Bissaka isn't suitable for Manchester United. He hasn't really played much under Ten Hag, and it's been quite worrying to see why we kind of spent that 50 million in the first place with him as well. And obviously going on to the attacking situation as well, just like you said about the right winger, there's an injury to Sancho, Rashford or Martial. We don't have the strength and depth. We're not going to rely on Ahmad. We're not going to rely on Pellistri. We're not going to rely on Garnacho or even Chong to come in and replace straight away as well. Elanga probably needs a lot more game time than what he got last season as well to actually develop into a better player. But it is quite worrying to see how Man United are currently looking squad-wise and depth-wise as well. But the only positive hope for me is Erik Ten Hag, because of what I've seen him do, not working miracles, but working wonders at the likes of FC Twente and Ajax as well. So it's really good to see that we've got a competent manager at the moment in time in terms of how he's been developing the players so far. So I just wanted to ask you, Tony, what have you been impressed so far with Erik Ten Hag so far in his tenure at Manchester United?
I know it's early days and it's pre-season, but I love the way we set up. And so in the first, for like the Liverpool game, the Villa game, the Crystal Palace game, when they're like, let's say the better team in the first half, in possession, we played like a 2-3-5, which is what I've been screaming for. So that's what teams that want to dominate, that's how they set up. So obviously you play from the back, you have your 2, you have your 3, so your fullbacks, and then Fred was playing that role, which I call the Frankie de Jong role, because clearly that's the role he wants Frankie de Jong to play. So the way we set up like that, I really feel that's going to help Man United, because even though we had our worst season last season, these players are not bad. right? They're not that bad. I don't think we're going to have the same season we had last season. It's just tactically they were horrible. I think of games like Brighton away and where we struggled to play teams against like Brighton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, teams with competent managers that could see Man United's tactical flaws.
Wolves at home screams to mind as well for me as well.
Teams with competent managers that could see the tactical flaws of United. So that was the issue I had last season, that tactically we weren't astute at all, especially with Solskjaer, and then obviously with Ranić, because they just didn't want to listen to his tactics, which granted I understand. But now with Ten Hag, they can see, I feel like all the players have even come out in pre-season. It's like, we know exactly what we want from the manager. We know exactly what to do. So now we know how we're going to play. I feel like for the first time, especially working in the media as well, I'm constantly surrounded by people who don't watch Man United 90 minutes like us fans do.
Yeah.
And like, so they'll just make lazy assumptions. And I'm thinking, okay, this isn't it, but I get what you mean. So like, for instance, we don't know how Man United played. Like, I don't think we're going to hear that this season. I feel like Ten Hag is going to really come with an identity. And that's a start. And that's how you build a team. So I've been impressed so far. I like the way we played a bit of football. Obviously, it's pre-season, so we need to see how it translates. But I really feel like this season, if we get the right players in, we're not going to lose to your Graham Potters, your Ralph Hasenhüttls, because at the end of the day, we have better players than them, and now we're actually tactically astute. So I really feel like for the first time ever, I can, like Brighton at home. If this was last season, I would not be confident because we barely beat Brighton at home last season. I remember it was that Ronaldo goal where he just hit it. And then Bruno got that last minute
counter attack, and then they had a red card straight after the Ronaldo goal as well. Because I was at that game and I was kind of just there, like I was looking at Bissouma dominating our midfield. I was looking at Leandro Trossard getting past Diogo Dalot constantly and getting between Lindelof and not Lindelof. I think it was like Maguire and Dalot quite a lot as well in that game as well. And it's crazy to see how players of that ilk, like no disrespect to Brighton, but they were dominating us at Old Trafford, which was worrying to see.
And how many times have we seen that last season where teams like that can dominate us at Old Trafford? So I like the way he wants to set up. He wants to dominate games, this whole total football. I like it. I don't think it, just with the way he wants to do it, I think we need Frankie desperately. Like, I know the whole situation and what's going on, but as much as I like Fred, I feel like last season, Fred's best position isn't a 6.
It definitely isn't a 6.
It definitely isn't a 6. But unfortunately, because we have no 6s, it's not going to be McTominay playing that role because he shies away from the ball when he can't string passes. But there's someone who can actually do it to an extent is Fred. Fred didn't look bad in pre-season, but that's not his best role. We saw under Ranić when Fred kind of played higher up the pitch, he was kind of better. So if we get a 6, whether it's Frankie that Ten Hag is screaming for, and if not, we don't get Frankie, we get someone like maybe a Ruben Neves who can somehow play that role. I know he played in a double pivot under Wolves, but I'm thinking of when he was at Porto. He was 6 in a single pivot, so he has done it.
And sometimes for Portugal as well, sometimes they start him as a number 6 instead of Carvalho or Danilo as well.
Exactly. So I wouldn't mind Ruben Neves as a replacement if we don't get Frankie. I feel like Frankie's perfect for the role, and he knows that himself. So I'm looking forward to it if we get the right signings.
Yes.
Maybe we don't need Frankie to beat Brighton. I feel like we should be able to beat Brighton. But after Brentford away, we've got Liverpool at home. And we need to, I'm not saying we're going to beat Liverpool, but we need to at least fight at home against Liverpool, considering they battered us 5-0 at Old Trafford last season. So we really need to see a massive difference in the way in which Ten Hag sets up against this Liverpool side. And I seriously don't think, even the way we're setting up now, I seriously feel like we need a couple more signings before that Liverpool game.
I might be going to that game as well, the Liverpool ones. I'm not looking forward to getting battered 6-0 at home as well. I don't want it to be the case where you're getting like Van Dijk just kicking the ball away at 20 minutes when you've just been battered 4-0 in 20 minutes. It can't be happening again. Oh, man. But no, just to go back on that Ruben Neves thing, that's the player that I've been looking out for the last 2 years for Man United, because Fred as a 6, as we've said, he's not he can't resist the press. He really can't resist the press from a lot of these teams. He would get beat quite easy against the likes of Leicester, against the likes of Brighton, when they are surrounding him, because they know that's a trigger point for Man United. When Fred gets the ball on a half turn, everyone knows to go at him 2 players, 3 players, because they know he can lose the ball. He's not strong enough to beat some of the players as well. And I wanted to know your thoughts. Would you consider Yuri Tillemans as a replacement instead of Frankie de Jong? Would you go for someone like Yuri Tillemans as a number 6?
I love Yuri Tielemans, football manager legend.
Exactly, and the let guy.
You know what I mean? And these are what like him and Ruben Neves are examples of me playing football manager when they signed for Wolves and signed for Leicester. I was thinking this is what Man United should have been all over because
Exactly.
they don't sign for 40 million. We could have done that easily. I wouldn't mind Yuri Tielemans at United, but I would have not at that 6 role. I don't think that 6 role is for him. I feel like if we didn't sign Eriksen and we needed someone for like squad depth, then Yuri Tielemans would have been the perfect scenario. Yeah. But I wouldn't mind Yuri Tielemans, but not at that 6 role. I really feel like that 6 role, especially in the way we've set up, what I've seen so far, it's so key. Like Fred, we were seeing a lot of Fred during preseason, right?
Yeah.
And we were seeing a lot of that. And especially if who those 2 8s are, whether it's Bruno and Van der Beek or it's Bruno and Eriksen, we really need a competent 6 that can soak up the pressure, wants to pick up the ball from the centre backs, which Frankie has come out and said that's his best position. Because I was really reluctant on Frankie playing as a single pivot, but I feel like the way Ten Hag wants to play, we need their best attributes to fit that role. And I feel like Ruben Neves can do it, but Frankie, I don't think Tielemans is the guy to do that role. I think he's a really good player, and I'd happily have him at Man United, but just not for that role in particular.
Yeah, exactly. Because with Tielemans as well, it'd be like another number 8 that we would have. So it'd be like a Van der Beek, Eriksen, Tielemans kind of position, all fighting for the same position. And Bruno would have to compete with Eriksen if Eriksen did want to play as a number 10 as well, going forward this season as well, which would be not that integral. But I know that Ten Hag likes building from the back quite a lot as well. We have seen that in the Champions League. We have seen that in pre-season as well. And just like you mentioned earlier about Fred being that pivotal role, it's somewhere where like, if Ten Hag was manager when Michael Carrick was still a Man United player, he would thrive off it. He would be amazing at it. That's why he's been going hammer and tongs to get this Frankie de Jong deal over the line as well. And there are rumours that obviously he wants to go to Chelsea, or he just doesn't want to leave Barcelona at all. But obviously with Barcelona not being able to register some of their players for La Liga, it's a big saga going on this summer as well. And I personally don't see it happen. I personally don't see us going for Frankie de Jong because I think there'll be too much. It would just be too much too late, I think, as well. I'd love him to be at Man United. Seeing him play for Barcelona against Inter Milan, and he's just fantastic to watch. He's a joy of a player to watch. And I'm one of those guys that appreciates holding midfielders, centre midfielders, what they do to compose the team. Because as you and I would know, having Scholes and Carrick for a midfield partnership for a good 6-7 years that they were, composed a lot of our team and won us a lot of trophies in that time as well. Same with Keane and Scholes as well, which is great to see. And having Fred and McTominay is a complete polar opposite. It's like 2 headless chickens in the middle of the field, just running after things and being bamboozled all the time as well, which is something that we've hated seeing as well. Just like we mentioned about that Liverpool game at home, embarrassing stuff to see as well. But yeah, let's move on to the attack. I want to talk to you more about the whole Cristiano Ronaldo situation as well. We've spoken about if he wants to stay or if he wants to leave, but I'd rather know a bit more about who you would look for to replace as a backup winger or as a backup striker, because there are talks of RB Salzburg striker Benjamin Sesko coming in for around 30-40 million, which would be a decent deal. We've seen a few bits of him in pre-season, saw a bit of him last season as well, but I'm not going to pretend like I know all about him. But who would you kind of want to go for if you had to replenish that attack for yourself, Tony?
Striker-wise, if we have to go get a backup striker, I would go for Benjamin Sesko. Only because one football manager legend, when you're deep down in the seasons and you're thinking who the world-class strikers, Benjamin Sesko is one of them. And I saw that I saw a couple of highlights of him at preseason. He looks quite technical for a player, and
for a tall player, mind you, as well. Great to see.
He kind of gives me, the new striker builds of like Victor Osimhen, Haaland, Sesko, that type of
Vlahovic as well. Got a Vlahovic vibe from him.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't mind him at all. He's young. I feel like this deal would have been easier if Frank was still at the club, but it is what it is. I feel like they want to sell him next season. They're not ready to sell because Salzburg are a selling team, right? All the Salzburg, Leipzigs, and Red Bulls, they're a selling team, and they'll make their money off him. But I don't think they're willing to sell this season. Whether we just cough up the peas and we need to do it, then fair enough. Backup striker wise, if we get a backup winger in a sense, then I would actually go for Pedro Neto from Wolves.
Oh man, I love that. That's an odd sound I just made, but I love Pedro Neto. I think he's great. I know he's had that bad injury last season, but what a joy of a player to watch as well. So tricky, so silky, so technical for a winger as well. Fantastic player to watch.
Literally, and I know I don't like using this term, but Premier League proven. Do you know what I mean? 40, 50 M's, Wolves are not going to say no, right? So let's just slap that for him. We know what we're getting, and that it reminds me that if Man United make that type of signing, it's that type of Diogo Jota signing that Liverpool made. Do you know when it was just like, oh, like Diogo Jota was a good player, but he's going to elevate his game playing against better, playing around better players and playing in a better team. I feel like
playing with an attacking coach as well, a progressive coach under Erik ten Hag.
I feel like that could be because Neto can. He doesn't have to start all the time. He probably won't start all the time, but he can happily make cameos off the bench all the time. And he's young, he's gifted, left-footed. Like that could be an easy signing. I don't know why we haven't been linked with him at all. But
and with the 5 subs as well that we got in the Premier League this season as well, no brainer.
Exactly, I would happily. So if it was down to me, it would be Sesko, Neto. It would be one of the two, or if not get both, see how desperate we are. But we need to get either one of those two, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was looking at a few players that realistically Man United should be signing, but unfortunately they don't listen to our podcast. Otherwise, they would have got them long ago. And I feel like Manchester City listen to our podcast will actually just play Football Manager and they get all the players that we're watching. Because I was a big fan of Julian Alvarez, but obviously he's gone to Manchester City. Well, debut go as well against Liverpool in the Community Shield as well, which is great to see. But Pedro Neto is someone that has been 2-3 years in the Premier League as well. Fantastic to really watch and fantastic to really appreciate when you're kind of watching this kind of player as well, because he's not just your average speedy winger, cut inside, score a goal. He can play either side of the wing, so he can play on the right, can play on the left. He's got a really good weak foot as well to actually really watch and really appreciate at the same time. He does come up clutch a few times for Wolverhampton Wanderers with their defensive style of play, with their 3-5-2 going forward as well. Realistically speaking, I thought, again, I don't want to be that guy to go to the RB clubs again, but I thought, I'm going to butcher his name, but Sloboslai. Yeah. I thought he would have been a decent signing for us as well. Going forward, I thought it would have been really good to get him after the Euros last summer, but he was injured, I think. So I thought it would have been a really good sign to get him this season to actually go in for someone who, again, he was really good at Salzburg, very good until he got his injury at Leipzig. But one step further, let's bring him up. Let's take him one step further into the Premier League and let's take him on as a really good winger going forward as well. But I'd agree, Pedro Neto would be a really good signing. I thought Leandro Trossard would be a decent backup player, someone who could play in the Europa League. He's proven quite a bit for Brighton as well, especially with their XG they're always against it with their XG. But I think it's a really good player to actually go and challenge a lot of these teams as well going forward. And Benjamin Sesko, we'll wait and see if that happens. I think Kaladzic from Stuttgart is being linked with us as well. But my backup striker I would like to see would be Patrick Schick. I've said it a few times this summer as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Patrick Schick, mostly because when I'm playing FIFA with my cousin and he needs an easier team to beat, I'll be buying Leverkusen. I'll just batter him with Moussa Diaby and Patrick Schick just attacking. And we'll do all of those like headers and volleys type things as well on Xbox. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll beat you anyway. And Patrick Schick is just, for me, is a joy to watch. Is someone that had a bad injury. We're talking about loads of injury-prone players here, Tony.
Yeah.
That's how I've had a lot of time to appreciate some of these players. When they're out injured, we appreciate them a bit more. But yeah, Patrick Schick as a backup striker to Ronaldo and Martial, even probably starting a bit more as well. I think he'd be great. He'd be someone that we'd love to see in the Europa League as well. Someone who would do really good in the cup campaigns. And if Ronaldo does leave next season, if he doesn't already leave this summer, he's someone that I believe we could build a team around, an attacking striker that we can build around. And he does link up really well with Moussa Diaby as well and Bellarabi as well at Bayer Leverkusen. But they have just signed Adam Hozlek from Sparta Prague. That's why I'm like, we could go in for him because they've already got a ready-made replacement. Why not throw a cheeky 45 million bid in for Patrick Schick in the Bundesliga?
That's a good thing. Only thing I feel like, because he's been week in, week out in the Bundesliga, obviously plays for Czech Republic as well. Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Would he come in as a backup at Man United?
That's what I like. That's what I like, because when we sign backup players, Man United over the last couple of years, we sign them as backup players. So the first team players know Pellistri's not going to take out Rashford in the team. Diallo's not going to take out anyone else in the team as well. They're not really coming into challenge. If you get Patrick Schick and he comes into challenge, that's a really good signing for me. And that's what I love about Guardiola and Klopp, and to an extent Thomas Tuchel as well. He buys players that will come into the first team and challenge and try and disrupt that order as well. Didn't really work for Lukaku last season, but I think it will really work with Koulibaly and Sterling this season as well. And I think Patrick Schick would be one of the answers we would go for If I was in charge, or if I had the choice of going for a striker, Patrick Schick would be the guy for me.
No, I know what you mean. I feel like, especially with the 5 subs this season, squad depth is massive.
Hmm.
Right now, we kind of, with all the players that left on a free, we kind of lack in squad depth at the moment. We've only signed 3 players and we got rid of how many? And we're still trying to get rid of how many before the season ends. So I feel like we will see some more signings. I wanted to ask you about Ethan Laird, because I do like Ethan Laird, and he had a good loan last season with Swansea, but then kind of fell off with Bournemouth, right? But then linked with Watford, I've seen for a loan. If we do get a right back, would you rather Ethan Laird go on loan to play week in, week out in a championship team that's going to go for the Premier League, right? Because at first, I didn't want Ethan Laird to go on loan. I wanted him to battle it out with Dalot. But I feel like if we get right back, I would rather Laird go on loan so he plays week in, week out, because we haven't really seen Ethan Laird play week in, week out for a season.
No, I would happily see Ethan Laird go on loan if it means that he's getting the game time. Even if he was to go to, let's say, for example, Bournemouth, and they needed another right back. I know they got Ryan Fredericks on a free, but if they was to go to another lower league Premier League team, or to someone at a higher championship, like you said, challenging for promotion, a West Brom maybe, going forward, a Huddersfield even, which would be quite good to see. I would love that if we were to get someone like Denzel Dumfries in, an explosive right back that can actually challenge and push Diogo Dalot. Aaron Wan-Bissaka probably looking to leave on a loan to buy type move as well. As I'd really be happy to see that. That'd be a dream situation, because we're improving in our situation. We're getting one of our younger players actually going out, getting the game time he deserves, not needs, but he actually deserves it, because I think he's a top talent in our recent years that we've had academy products coming through the team as well. I remember him playing against that that game when we had that Europa League game when he just played all the kids, and then he was playing there and Lingard was captain away. I remember him playing in there. I was like, this guy's got a bright future ahead if he sticks down, gets his head over the ball quite a bit and runs with it. And has been doing that since then as well, which is great to see. And it's really positive as a right back. And as we know, when you're seeing right backs as Reece James coming through, Trent Alexander-Arnold coming through from your academy, and they are being developed properly by their managers who play attacking and aggressive football, Ethan Laird can be the next one from England coming through. He doesn't have to change allegiances to play for another country. He could be challenging these guys in 2-3 years' time for a spot in the England side. You never know.
No, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I just hope it depends. If we don't sign a right back, let's just get him and Dalot fighting for a right back spot, and we'll see. But if not, let's just make sure he gets some game time, because I feel like he needs it.
With the games that we've got coming up as well, I think it's 2 games a week now because of the World Cup in November. So we are playing earlier Carabao Cup, we are playing earlier Europa League games as well. So we will need that rotation in our squad as well. And injuries can always happen with Man United. We know we have bad luck with injuries every season. So that's not something I'm looking forward to going forward as well.